Alright, so just a quick after the fact food prep video for my two adult male iguanas, Juno and Suyo. Today, this is Juno's plate. Suyo's plate is over there. Suyo has just a little bit more food because Juno barely eats anything during breeding season, but yet I still give him a whole plate of food just in case. I could probably give him like a third of this, but I just go a little extra just in case he decides he's having an appetite, which really hasn't happened. But especially on days when I'm going to be gone, I like to provide him with food. I'm a little overcautious just in the fact that if I'm gone and he decides he wants to eat, I want to make sure he has enough food. So I am actually pulling back on the fruit that they were eating. Both kids are experiencing doofer twitches. So their subtympanic scales have been like twitching. You know, kind of like when a person has like a muscle spasm or like an eye twitch. So their big subtympanic scales have been doing that. They're called the subtympanic scales because they're right below the tympanum, I think is what it's called, which is their ear. So, yeah, but kind of the slang word for those big jowl scales on their, they kind of look like their cheeks almost, is doofers. Kind of in the iguana community, people just call them doofers. So when you hear me say doofers, that's what I'm referring to, and I'll take a video and like point them out. So their doofers have been twitching. So I was researching, and it could be that their phosphorus is too high. The ratio that they're supposed to have in their bodies of calcium to phosphorus is 2 parts calcium to 1 part phosphorus. I have been giving them a little bit more fruit than I normally would to try to encourage them to eat their food during breeding season, but I'm wondering if maybe their phosphorus is too high. I do have a vet visit scheduled for the first week of February. That was the first vet visit that was open, that was non-emergency. So it doesn't seem like emergency status at this point. So if I see improvement, then I'll definitely keep the vet visit for the first week of February instead of doing like an emergency visit. If I see less twitching in their doofers, that's the only, aside from Juno's urates being a little bit dark colored, they're a little bit orange, which does happen during breeding season. It's a sign of dehydration. So aside from that, I'm not seeing any other symptoms, but they do tend to hide their symptoms because symptoms of sickness can be a sign of weakness in their natural habitat. So it is important to, pay attention to even very small symptoms, because small symptoms can often be something that's been building up for a while. Once you start to actually see some type of symptom of sickness or, dishealth, disease, it can be something that they were hiding and now it's starting to show. So it is important to watch that and take action sooner than later. So it's been, I think, 4 days now that I have not given them any fruit. I've been sticking to just greens and vegetables. So that being said, I'll tell you what they're getting today, and I will keep you posted on how their doofer twitching is going. Juno's seems to have lessened. Suyo's might be lessening. So, and like I said, I should have kept track. I should have looked. But I want to say this is day 4 of them not having any fruit. And I do supplement with the calcium D3 powder, which is an oyster shell based powder. That there aren't any regulations on it, Like, there isn't any actual proof of dosage of what to give, so it can kind of be touch and go, because it recommends based on your reptile's size, but also what you're feeding them can make a difference, because if they're already getting a certain amount, this could be too much. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But what it says is directions. We ask you mix Repcal with our vitamin supplement Herbivite. If we did, then beadlets of beta-carotene in the Herbivite may possibly be damaged during manufacturing by the calcium in the Repcal. So then it instructs, mix with vegetables, fruits, and pastes, approximately 1/2 of a tablespoon Repcal with 1/2 tablespoon Herbivite per pound of food. And then it says, before feeding insects. So this is like this is not specific to green iguanas. Green iguanas don't purposefully eat insects. They will ingest them if they're on the leaves that they eat in the wild. In nature, they live in the trees and they eat the leaves out of the trees where they live. So they're actually folivores, which is a unique term to a creature that lives in the tree and eats the foliage of the tree that it lives in. So they're actually folivores. And so then this has instructions about how to coat insects with the powder, which doesn't apply to us. So I should have gotten out my different books here, because there are also formulas that recommend a certain dosage based on the weight of your reptile. So we have green iguanas here. These guys are green iguanas. So I'm actually not going to give them this today. I did give it to them twice this week already. And what I did was I just took a pinch and just sprinkled it on their food. Just a little pinch in my fingertips, like about that much. So, yes. So I'm going to get back to showing you what these guys are eating today. So I already did the food prep. This is their basket. So at the moment, I have cut up red, orange, and yellow bell peppers in here. I have shredded yellow squash and green beans. I'm trying to bump up their calcium a little bit. And then I used the salad shooter to shred the yellow squash. It's pretty slick. You just cut the squash into pieces that fit in here and then shoot it out, and this is what it looks like. Sorry for my crazy camera action. So yeah, today they're getting a mix of escarole, wild red arugula. It's half and half for the greens. And then on top of that, I sprinkled some of the yellow squash, cut up some green beans into small pieces, and also cut up the bell peppers into small pieces. And you can mix it in, however you like. But these guys, I like to encourage them by keeping the fun colors on the top of their food, because it encourages them, it attracts them to the food, the bright colors, especially when it's in sunlight or under their basking lights, which are mercury vapor full spectrum UVB lights. So I have noticed that when their food is underneath their lights and in the sunlight, it's more appealing to them. So I think that the colors pop more to them when it is under the light. So I have got to get going. I've got stuff to do, and I've got to feed them, and I've got to get Suyo in his room. So that is what they're getting today. And I'll keep you all posted on their behaviors and how their doofers are.